Moorer is 13.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Will all the council members join the well, and would all our audience please have your seat? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop. Conwell. Gray. Hairston. Harsh. House Jones. Jones. Casey. Kelly. Moorer. McCormick. Polensik. Santana. Slife. Spencer. Starr. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll make the following statement. This meeting of Cleveland City Council is a lawful meeting under Section 605.04 of the Codified Ordinances. No person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak only under the rules set by this council. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and making loud noises and loud utterances, are in violation of the rules and interfere with the due conduct of this lawful meeting. Such disruptions may constitute a misdemeanor and a violation of the codified ordinances, commits misdemeanors, and is subject to prosecution. The following is the first and only warning. If this meeting is disrupted, I will gavel a halt to the proceedings and direct the assembled officers to escort any person participating in this disruption out of the chamber. Once persons participating in this disruption are out of the chambers, the officers will close the doors and the disruptors will be handled as directed by the Director of Public Safety. The council proceedings will not begin again until those that participated in the disruption have left the chamber and the chamber doors are closed. Disruptors will not be allowed back in the chamber after the meeting resumes. Again, this is the first and only warning. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Polensik, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
We'll go to public comment. Once again, I would ask everyone to turn around to acknowledge the public commenters, and I would also make sure that all the public commenters please adhere to your time. When you see the yellow light in front of you come on, that means to wrap it up. When you see the red light, that means abruptly stop. First, we have Ms. Brenda Bickerstaff from Ward 9 here to talk about immigration and the black vote. She's here with Citizens for a Safer Cleveland and not being paid by anyone. Ms. Bickerstaff, you have the floor.
First of all, I want to send my condolences to the young man that was shot in the head. It was 10. He passed away. I want to send the family my condolences for that. Secondly, I'm going to hold this up. Councilwoman Santana is not here today, but I want her to see Latinos for Trump. And you see this man is in handcuffs. We warned, I warned, Kevin warned, do not vote for him. See? Latinos for Trump, and he's in handcuffs. Senator Marino comes into the black neighborhoods, wanted our support when he was running before. Front page of the paper, Marino urges the DOJ to review consent decrees. He wants the consent decree to go even though they're still at 47% in compliance. I want us to start, see, black people, we help everybody. But when it comes time for us to get some help, we don't get it. I didn't even see nobody walk with me when my brother Craig got killed by the police. I don't see people walking with us when they're out here fighting with other people that got killed by the police. It has been 100. I don't see that, but they always want us to help them. Damn it, I want us to get help. Help us. Help us. Look at this picture on the front page of the paper. Front page of the paper. See how he played us? He came in our community just about a year and a half ago. Had the nerve to come to the Black History Month for Martin Luther King's birthday. And look what he's doing. And this is for blacks, to help blacks. Do you know blacks is low on the totem pole when it comes to the federal government? Everybody got executive orders but us. We got the Emmett Till thing, that's fine, but it means nothing, though. What does it mean? I'm glad they did it, but what does it mean? Where's the enforcement at? There's two things I want blacks to do. I want us to stop killing each other, and I want us to join together as a unit so we can stand up for our needs: economics, health, crime, mass incarceration, police brutality. My brother been dead 24 years. January 26th was 24 years. 24 years. He got grandkids now that he didn't even see. So at the end of the day, I want blacks to help blacks. And I want you guys to reach out to blacks. Help us. Like you come in our neighborhood and want us to help everybody else. That's all I got to say.
Next, we have Kayla Pincus. Kayla Pincus is from Ward 3. Kayla's here to talk about the Cleveland Community Police Commission nominations. Kayla is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Kayla, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank council. I really didn't get an opportunity to say that earlier at the committee meeting, for your openness to evaluating the fairness of the makeup of the Community Police Commission. That I really feel like you have sought to listen to myself, but also the community in general, so many of the stakeholders that are critical to this work of having a safer city. I want to talk about the importance of understanding how we define us. What does that mean? Who is we? And about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I was very viciously verbally attacked by a public official. I recorded it. I told everybody I was recording it. And I contacted the law department about it. And instead of it being addressed, I received a very angry phone call asking, why did I do that? Why did I send that? What was I doing? I don't understand that question. I was just a community member trying to participate and do what I think is right. And I was attacked by somebody who works for you all and should be working for us. I wasn't afforded any protection. There are so many people in the city who are not afforded protection, who should be, and the people who are afforded protection, they're people who have pre-existing power. These nominations and what has kind of gone into all of this, I think, has been a very sad reflection except for, I actually really believe the way that council has kind of treated this. It's been an example of uplifting people who have pre-existing power and seeking to further disenfranchise people who are otherwise already disenfranchised, whether that be race, whether that's organized labor. I implore you to consider that, and to the law department, to try to reconsider how you define us. It's all of us, and you guys as council have the capacity to get outside counsel if you need to. And so I recommend that if you don't feel like your interests are being represented, to please seek that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Juan Collado Diaz from Ward 11 to talk about immigration in Cleveland. Mr. Diaz is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. I first want to thank the council members that have made a statement or have stood up for immigrants in this country. If you look at this room right now, none of us are natives to this land. We are all immigrants. And we don't look at it that way. We're so privileged to look over time and point the finger at everybody else. Our mayor, the day after the election, and I'm going to address you now directly, after the election, you posted a statement you will work directly with the Trump administration. You will work to support and work alongside them. 2 days ago, you went with your politician way, because that's what you are. You're a politician and nothing more but a marketing geek that loves to do marketing and post things and statements, and decided to put a statement that you are for the immigrants. Then you went on Google Translate, because that's exactly what happened, and translated in the worst way you could and put a statement in Spanish. This nation, the immigrants here, are not only Latinos. Let's just start there. There's many immigrants from all around the world that are coming here and are being targeted right now. I'm not going to point the finger at any of you here in council, because I know some of you are doing your best to get immigrants protected in this city and to keep Cleveland a sanctuary city, or make it one that will last forever for our people. This time, my people are suffering. My people are the ones that are right now being taken by the masses. And there are school districts who are releasing statements that are allowing ICE to jump into their schools. So now I'm going to ask the mayor to work with the director of education to make sure that our CMSD schools are not allowing ICE to walk into private or public property and attack our immigrant children. If you have some decency, think about that. I am a week away to be a father, and I do not want my child to be born into a world where he's going to be targeted because he's Latino. I do not want my child to have to hide who he is because he will be targeted and maybe deported, though he's a citizen. So I do ask for you directly, Mr. Mayor, to work with the CMSD officials to make sure that every single CMSD school is protected and our city is accepting of immigrants and protect immigrants. I also ask that you work with CPD closer. If any executive orders pass for the federal level, CPD does not get involved in any way, shape, or form in the deportation of immigrants. That is not their job. I again repeat, please work with CMSD, the police, and this body here to make sure that our immigrants are protected, safe, and can live in a city that they can call home, away from home. Thank you.
Next, we have Antoine Tolbert from Buckeye to talk about most distracted and unprotected, representing New Era Cleveland and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Tolbert.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. I'm happy to be here, and it's the most disrespected and unprotected. I want to start by saying that to you directly, Councilman Blaine, I have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for you. Not only as the president of City Council, but as a father and as a black man first. I know your sons, and so I thank you. Secondly, I want to send my love and condolences to that family that lost that 10-year-old child. All of you know my stance when it comes to gun violence in our community, especially when it comes to protecting our children and our babies. I have no limitations on doing whatever is required. Secondly, this administration, the mayor's administration, Mayor Justin Bibb, you need to come up with a comprehensive plan for violence prevention and intervention that is serious, because the amount of children that have died in the last 4 years is ridiculous, not only in the city of Cleveland, but the surrounding suburbs. If you believe that violence in Maple and Bedford and in Garfield is not directly correlated to Cleveland, you are confused. Now, when it comes to black women, right, the backbone of the black community is our women. The foundation that I stand on today, the core values that I've developed has been given to me by black women. Now, I think it's a nice sentiment for council to talk about equity and inclusion and opportunities for black women, but what are we doing to ensure that they're protected when they get these opportunities? What policies are we developing to protect black women in these spaces? And to see the conduct being condoned is sickening. Now, a few years back, we found a young missing girl in the Lee Harvard neighborhood. I remember reaching out to a particular councilman and going to his office with the mother of this said child, who had been missing for 11 weeks. Now, this mother was living in a house with no water, no lights, no gas, and the home had just recently been riddled with bullets. This 11-year-old girl was raped by her sister's fiance. This mother's oldest child was birthed with her grandfather. And this council member scolded this mother for the child's behavior and said that the mother should physically discipline this child, and I watched that mother break down in tears. Year to date, that mother overdosed on fentanyl. That girl that was 12 then is now 14 going on 15, and is still actively being sex trafficked in this same community. It's sickening, and it has to stop. And I'd be remiss to not say this. The makings of a man is not just defined by our anatomy. Having a little thing flapping between your legs does not necessarily make you a man. You are a male, yes. But are you doing what is required to be a man? Integrity. And I'll close with this. This is like National Love Week. We all know what's approaching on Friday. And to my queen at home that's taking care of our sick child and that's sick with the flu, I want to tell her that before I knew you, I prayed for you. And she is a constant reminder every day of God's grace, mercy, and love for me. And I don't take any of these opportunities for granted, and I'm forever grateful for her. Shout out to the Black Queens.
Take your time. Thank you. Next, we have President Austria Everson from Buckeye to talk about where do we go from here. She represents the Love Project movement and not being paid by anyone. I'm not sure if Ms. Everson is here. I do not see her. Therefore, we'll move on. Thank you. The next person that we have is Timothy Summerfelt from Ward 17 to talk about EMS. And Mr. Summerfelt represents the Cleveland Association of Rescue Employees, and he is not being paid by anyone. Mr. Summerfelt, you have the floor.
A few years back, we responded for a female in labor. And when we got there, we found serious complications. And when the baby was born, he was not breathing and had no pulse. And we were able to resuscitate that baby in the hallway of his apartment building. That's why I love being a paramedic. We literally get to save lives. But in order to save that life, hundreds of things have to go right. It takes a system, an EMS system. And in Cleveland, we have historically invested very little in our EMS system. Of the 50% of the general fund that goes into public safety, only 5% of it goes into EMS. And with that 5%, last year, the men and women of Cleveland EMS responded to 107,652 calls and transported 77,081 people to the hospital. Our paramedics, EMTs, and dispatchers are the hardest working, highest educated public safety workers. But we're not just resting on our laurels. We're working on new cutting-edge medicine like blood transfusions for gunshot victims and people who crash their car. And we're also working on ventilators for respiratory patients. But we can't do it alone. We need the help of this body. During the October operational review, Commissioner Wheeler came in here and he told this body that he needs 315 EMS employees for 2025. Yet he's been told that he's only going to get 304. Our ask is that you amend the 2025 budget to add 11 EMS positions to the budget. And the good news is, there's an easy way to pay for this. Over the past few years, we've doubled our billing rates and brought in a new claims company. Our ask is that we take some of that money and reinvest it back into EMS so that we can have more good outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kareem Hinton from Ward 14. Kareem Hinton is here to talk about the Community Police Commission appointments and the Water Department. He's here representing citizens for a safer Cleveland, and he is not being paid by anyone. Is Mr. Hinton here? Mr. Hinton going once, Mr. Hinton going twice. I do not see Mr. Hinton. I'll move to the next person. Next person is Mr. Darrell Houston. Mr. Houston is from Bedford Heights. He does not have a topic. He is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Houston, you have the floor.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to point out a few things to give y'all a little food for thought because everybody here is supposed to be intelligent. I noticed that we got 17 city council members, and out of 17 city council members, only 4 city council members have offices in their wards. I would suggest that the rest of you guys get offices in your wards, because if you have offices in your wards, then you can engage with your community in a much more better fashion. Sitting here, I've been down here since 10 o'clock this morning. It is very interesting in this building, very interesting. Sitting down here today, I was at a community meeting, and some things came up about development in over there on, I believe, Huff area, Ward 7. Fannie Lewis, I'm a product of Fannie Lewis. I have 2 properties over there in that ward. Okay, I have a property on Dibble, and I also have a property on Line. We were able to play in that Lee Park. Right now, Lee Park is chained up and only used by permit. There's not one black person using that facility, and it was open free when we grew up over there, okay? Fannie Lewis fought hard to keep certain things connected to that community, such as Legacy Village. It took her a while to get that done because she wanted it done in a special way, affordable for the people that live in that area. Right now, I would ask City Council to reconsider that proposal to tear down Martin Luther King, because it was done by another city councilman that's not there and also brought up on criminal charges. So I think that you guys should pull back on that, redo it to make sure that it's being done properly. And one thing I would like to say to Ms. Jones, please make sure if we're putting $200,000 and $300,000 houses in that area where the only high income is $30,000, then that's a problem, okay? You're outsourcing people that grew up over there, okay? Fight for it to make it affordable. Don't outsource that community in that type of way for new developments, because developments is always gonna be for us, the people that's in that community, black people, okay? So I'm asking you guys to start paying attention a little more before you vote on certain things, because you have to do due diligence. And I don't see a lot of due diligence on what's being done in the city of Cleveland. We need more accountability. We're not getting a fair shake for our tax dollars. And it's on you guys. And it's finna get deep. And I'm asking you guys to pay attention. That's all I'm asking. Pay attention and do the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Jones from Ward 3 to talk about improving Cleveland. He's not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Is Steve Jones here? Steve Jones, Ward 3, going once. Steve Jones, Ward 3, going twice. Steve Jones is not here. Last but not least, we have Matthew Ahn from Ward 3. Mr. Ahn is going to talk about immigration and policy-making duties of cities' elected officials. He is not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. Mr. Ahn, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. Matthew Ahn, current Ward 3, future Ward 5. I ran for office last year. Not the only one here who's done that, but I bet not too many of you were called a, quote, illegal immigrant on the campaign trail. Surrogates voters, there's several folks who wanted to say that based on how I looked, I could not have been born in the US. It must have been my glasses or something. I've been keeping this from my mother for a year. Not that she, as a naturalized citizen, hasn't heard the same about herself, but I knew the weight that it would saddle her with to have to confront it not for herself, but for me. But I can't stay silent, not after this week. On Monday, I sat in this meeting as folks asked you to protect our neighbors, echoing comments to County Council by Clevelanders 2 weeks ago. On Wednesday, the state legislature advanced HB 26 to committee. The bill would reduce funding to cities if they don't enact harsh immigration policies to target anyone who looks or acts different enough. Calculating based on this year's mayor's estimate, Cleveland might lose out on 0.3% of its revenue. Even Mayor Bibb's video statement on the 28th may violate the text of House Bill 26, even though it still follows the mayor's use of the pejorative term, quote, illegals twice in an interview 2 weeks prior. Both that and, quote, illegal immigrant have been disfavored by the Associated Press style book since 2013. On Friday at the City Club, I heard Chief Todd say two relevant things to this conversation. First, there is plenty of work to do for police to rebuild trust in the community. And second, regardless of the cost of the consent decree, which was the topic of the event, there is no price that she or any of us can put on a person's life. And so my request, put a sanctuary policy in writing so that those already on the margins of society do not feel like they'll be targeted when asserting their rights as a crime victim, a taxpayer, a resident, or a worker. The 0.3%, which we may already lose anyway, cannot be made up through other means. And as co-chair of America is All In, Mayor Bibb should know that private grants may be able to offset a budget shortfall. And 0.3% is not worth the people's lives who will be upended by a deportation, held up by an ICE detainer, or even just baselessly questioned about their status because of their glasses. On Saturday, I tabled at a resistance fair put on by the Cleveland Heights Democratic Club. And this mayor has said that Clevelanders are tired of the resistance, but over 1,500 people showed up to that event, including many Clevelanders whose singular goal was to resist more over the next 4 years. We know that Clevelanders want to get local. We know that we are not going to ever speak with the fancy consultants running national campaigns in DC. And when these folks tune into this fall's elections that can be easily swung by a few percent turnout increase, will they find leaders who put 0.3% of their money where their mouth is to resist and advocate for the least of us? Or will they find leaders who talk a big game but focus on moving TIF money around for billionaires? I urge this mayor as well as council to formalize sanctuary policy in a legally binding manner as soon as possible. And to my mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, we can talk about it later. Thank you.
That ends our public comment session. We'll now move to appointments. Mr. Clerk or Madam Clerk.
We'll do communications first.
So we're doing communications first. Go ahead. We'll do communications, then appointments.
It's just this one. From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, file number 175-2025, regarding a new license application at 6200 Brook Park Road, Ward 13. File number 183-2025, regarding a stock transfer application at 6955 Euclid Avenue, Ward 7. File number 184-2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 7900 Kinsman Road, Ward 5. File number 185-2025, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 4282 West 130th Street, Ward 16.
Thank you. Please share appointments.
File number 205-2025, from Mayor's Appointment Chair Chris Harsh, recommending the appointment of Hazel Gutierrez Ramesh to the Fair Housing Board to a term ending December 1st, 2027, pursuant to sections 665.05 of the codified ordinances. Without objection, the appointment is approved. File number 206-2025, from the Mayor's Appointment Chair Chris Harsh, recommending the appointment of Jennifer A. Johns to the Cleveland Lead Safe Advisory Board to a 4-year term pursuant to section 365.07A of the codified ordinances. Without objection, the appointment is approved.
Thank you. We'll move to condolence resolutions.
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Conwell for Otis Goodrum, by Councilmember Griffin for Susan Sue Dorfer, by Councilmember Jones for Pastor Ronald A. Lee, by Councilmember Griffin for Thomas N. Sack.
Madam Clerk, can you please also hold out a number for Mr. Moses Garner? Mr. Moses Garner. And may I please be added, if Councilman Jones would not mind being added to Mr. Ronald Lee. I was not aware that Mr. Lee passed away, but for those of us council members who are been here for a while, Mr. Lee was the former police officer that used to be the liaison for Cleveland City Council. Sergeant Lee served very ably, so thank you for making us aware of that. We were not aware that Mr. Lee had passed away. So please, if you could, for some of us that knew him well, could you add me to that?
So noted.
Councilman Conwell would also like to be added to that.
Yeah, definitely. When I was safety chair, we rode the neighborhoods together. Ward 1, really.
Okay. Councilman Jones.
Mr. Chairman, just to also add, Reverend Sergeant Lee was a pastor of Calvary Church, and he was a dedicated, committed person in Ward 1 and was engaged, involved in our community for over 60 years. I also rise, Mr. President, to ask you to put a number out for Zeddy Coley. Zeddy Coley. Mr. Coley was and has been an educator in the city for quite some time. He was about 92 years of age when he passed. He was dedicated and committed to the community. He was engaged. He was involved. He was a part of just about every organization in our neighborhood. And so our neighborhood is at a great loss for two strong men who fought to keep our neighborhood stable and try to help the citizens of Ward 1. Thank you for holding one out for Mr. Zeddy Coley.
So noted.
Thank you. Councilman Conwell.
Yeah, we have Zeddy Coley. He was a great leader in the city of Cleveland as well, not just Ward 1. So he was a good man.
If you could add me to that too, Madam Clerk. Mr. Coley was a great man. We've known him, a lot of us, since he's very young. Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones.
Yes, good evening. I saw the news that Ms. Coleman put out about the passing of Gerald Henley. So if we can be sure to hold out a number for Mr. Gerald Henley.
So noted.
Please add me to that as well. Mr. Henley was definitely a Mr. I think we got a couple more council members that would like to be added to that. Councilman Conwell, Councilman Jones, Councilman Polensic. Many of us, Councilman Bishop, Kevin Bishop, many of us knew Mr. Henley as one of the last elected school board members in the city of Cleveland. So please hold out a number for him. Any other condolence resolutions? Councilman Brian Casey.
Mr. President, can you please hold out a number for Joe Sadie? He's a former Cleveland police officer for over 40 years who passed away.
Sadie passed away?
Yeah.
Can I be added to that? Wow, we're losing a lot of people. I didn't know Sadie passed away. Thank you. We could add, if you could add me to that, Madam Clerk, Councilman Jones. Councilman Mike Polensic, Councilwoman Deborah Gray. Say that again, please.
For Henley.
Mr. Henley? Okay. Ward 4, absolutely. Those of us who don't know Mr. Sadie is the gentleman who used to do the Toys for Tots collection, and for years he was a commander in the 3rd District and provided unlimited amount of toys and other kind of acts of kindness for young people throughout our city. So we lost some true giants this past week. Any other condolence resolutions? Will all members of council rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Are there any congratulatory resolutions?
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Griffin for Javert J. Haynes, by Councilmember Harsh for Lynn Shearhorn.
Thank you. We do have a presentation. I'll ask if Councilman Slife can join us up front, and if the colleagues can open up the well for his guests that will be joining us. Fatin and the rest of her team, if they could all join Mr. Slife up here to my right. And Mr. Slife, if you could show them where they'll be at. And please feel free to use both of the daises. And Mr. Slife would look forward to announcing who our guests are.
Sort of crowd around here. I'll pass these to Jenna and Gia. Do you mind kind of distributing some of these as we talk? As these, so just crowd right behind us. You can come up,
Here,
up
come
on
up
the
here,
steps.
use all
right.
of these. You can come up here, come all the way up here if you want to come. We got plenty of room. Some people can go up here. Anybody want to come up top? Come up here. Please fill in all the room.
Right. So I'll go ahead and get it going. A couple weeks ago, I was in the hallway and I bumped into Fatin Oda, who's the executive director, is that the right? Executive director of the Council for American Islamic Relations Northern Ohio chapter, and also a former social studies teacher. And we were talking about how I've been working on field trips and all these things, and she mentioned that they were interested in doing a Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium. So this group assembled yesterday, civically minded 8th grade through 12th graders from the city of Cleveland and across the region, and then came to city council today, learned a little bit about city government, and then also went through a little bit of an activity talking about how around in December there's displays on Public Square for Christmas and Hanukkah, but there's no sort of Ramadan display, and what would a Ramadan display look like? And we had some really great ideas come out from the kids. So I just wanted to bring you all up here and let me turn it over and you can talk a little bit more about what the kids have been up to outside of City Hall.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. May peace and blessings be upon you. Again, my name is Fatin Oda. It's so nice to be on this side of the gate. So for those who don't know what CARE is, it is the Council on American Islamic Relations. We are your Cleveland and Northern Ohio chapter. And our vision is to be a leading advocate for justice and mutual understanding. And our mission is to enhance understanding of Islam, protect civil liberties, promote justice, and empower American Muslims, and also protect the civil liberties of all Americans. In December, we fought really hard against a bill that would basically take our First Amendment right away, and we beat it. 35 other states couldn't do that, but we did it along with our coalition partners. And tomorrow we will be advocating against SB 1, which aims to target higher education. And before I hand it over to Gia to talk about the program that we are here for today, we just want to say CARE does encourage the city of Cleveland to make this a sanctuary city to protect our most vulnerable populations. Thank you so much for being here. Well, thank you for having us here. And I'm going to pass it to Gia and Jenna, who actually organized this year's MYLS.
Hi everyone, my name is Gia. I'm one of the organizers for the Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium. I'm going to talk a little bit about the theme that we were having this year. We thought, I am 21 years old and I wasn't, far from their age just too long ago, and something that I struggled with was being proud of being Muslim and my identity of being both Muslim and American. So what we wanted to bring to these children was to show them that they can be very proud and feel empowered in their identities without feeling they have to compromise some of their values. And to also show them that, the people here, the people in the city council, the people that we see that are making the decisions also care about you. They want to hear from you. They want to help you. So we wanted to get them familiar with the place and also what you guys do. And yesterday we had a session about how they can be powerful leaders and strong leaders using their own personal talents as well. Jenna?
I feel like a lot of you know me, so hi again, how are you? Like Gia was saying, youth are one of the most powerful tools that communities have. The youth lead movements and they drive change. So these are some very, very bright young kids, and they're super excited to be here. So I want to thank you guys for having us, and Councilman Slife for putting together such a beautiful second part of this program. And these kids are very, very excited to work with you guys and take on future initiatives at City Council and stuff, so thank you so much. Okay, yes, so now we're gonna have two of the young kids here speak. We're gonna start with Miski. She has some words to say.
Hi, assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Miski Sha'ia. I'm a senior, and I am a Somali American. And I came to MYLS, Muslim Young Leaders Symposium, because I wanted to learn how to be a good leader in a community where being Muslim and being American sometimes is challenging to coexist together. I joined this program because I wanted to better understand what CARE does as well and how they empower Muslims in in the entire community. At the symposium, we explored how to balance faith and our ambition, setting goals for our religion while setting goals for our careers as well. We also did a lot of activities to reinforce what we learned. We worked on identifying our unique skills and talents, and a really interesting and impactful activity that we actually did was we were examining the benefits of opening a halal grocery store in Cleveland, and basically examining the benefits culturally, socially, economically. Yeah, that was something very interesting that we did. And we also created posters highlighting Islamic values and really just talking about how to be a leader in a place where you're not always like the first, you're not like what every common average person sees, you know? And I learned a lot, and I am very grateful to be here. So thank you, everyone.
Next is Muhammad Dean.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings upon everyone here. My name is Muhammad Dean, and I'm half Palestinian and half Pakistani. I was born and raised here in Cleveland, Ohio. Yesterday, I was at the Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium, which is a program that was created by CARE to teach the Muslim youth how to be intellectual professionals while upholding our values as Muslims, such as having integrity, being patient during hard times, having excellence, standing up for justice, and worshiping God. So I have one main point I would like to discuss, and God willing, I will make this short and sweet. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the best of you are the ones who are most beneficial to others. Not necessarily the people who have luxurious cars, Malibu mansions, and have fame and power. To build on that, yesterday at the Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium, we were asking ourselves, what is success? We concluded, and I'll end with this, successful people are those who bring benefit to the community, impact people in a positive way, promote justice and the love of God. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you, City Council. Hope to work with you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I really appreciate, we're all very happy that you're here. If anybody would like to come forward closer for pictures, feel free to come inside the gate. But I have, Tasnima, I have yours. I didn't, but everybody here, we gave some recognition from council, and I won't read the entire thing. But to summarize, it says, council sincerely pleased to acknowledge your unwavering dedication and commitment to personal growth, community service, and leadership guided by the principles of faith, integrity, and justice. So thank you for getting involved. Please continue to get involved as you continue in high school, as you go into college or elsewhere, and please come visit us at Cleveland City Council and City Hall because this is your building too. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Before we conclude, we just want to give a special thanks to Councilman Slife. It's a little something from us, including a Care Bear, to thank you for working with us. And I mean, you went all out and really appreciate it. And I hope that this is the beginning of many more of these opportunities for our community. Great. Thank you so much. Take a picture.
All right, let's give him another round of applause if we could. All right, Madam Clerk, please read first reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 176, 2025, by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to enter into an amendment to a contract with Lorain County Landfill, LLC to add additional services for the handling and disposal of solid waste. Ordinance 177, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, to amend Section 50 of Ordinance 194, 2021, as amended, relating to compensation for various classifications. Ordinance 178, 2025, by Councilmembers McCormack, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to employ one or more professional consultants for the preliminary design, the final design, and construction services relating to rehabilitation of the Carter Road Lift Bridge, to apply for and accept any gifts, grants, or loans from the appropriate State of Ohio department or other public or private entity or agency for the rehabilitation of the Carter Road Lift Bridge. Ordinance 186, 2025, by Councilmembers Conwell, Griffin, Santana, and Casey by departmental request, to amend Section 607.15 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, relating to the illegal distribution of cigarettes and other tobacco products or alternative nicotine products. Ordinance 187, 2025, by Councilmembers Conwell, Griffin, Santana, and Casey by departmental request, to supplement the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio by enacting new sections 235A.01 through A.11 and A.99 relating to tobacco retail licensing.
Thank you. First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 179, 2025, by Councilmember Gray, authorizing the Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with iFilm, Inc. for the Ward 4 Community Awareness Campaign through the use of Ward 4 casino revenue funds. Ordinance 180, 2025, by Councilmember Spencer, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the Donut Worry Run Happy 5K on October 18, 2025, managed by Hermes Sports and Events. Ordinance 181, 2025, by Councilmembers Starr and Moorer, authorizing the Director of Department of Community Development to enter into agreement with University Settlement, Inc. for the University Settlement Hunger Center through the use of Wards 5 and 12 casino revenue funds.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Polensek, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moorer, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 14 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 14 yeas.
Thank you. First reading ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 188, 2025, by Councilmembers Conwell, Griffin, Santana, Casey, and Jones, by departmental request, to enact new Section 347.21 of the Codified Ordinances relating to smoke shops. Ordinance 189, 2025, by Councilmembers Conwell, Griffin, Santana, and Casey, by departmental request, to supplement the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, by enacting new sections 350.121 relating to window sign coverage limitation and to amend Section 3104.02 of the Codified Ordinances as amended by Ordinance 388, 2024, passed April 1st, 2024, relating to civil offenses.
All right, first reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 182, 2025, by Councilmember Gray, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C1, C2 liquor permit to 3111 East 93rd Street. Resolution 191, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Chandra Moira Benito to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 193, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Tara Coleman to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 195, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Maya Kincaid to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 196, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Untaya Miller to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 194, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Sheila Mason to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 197, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Michael Nelson to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 199, 2025, by Councilmember Griffin, approving the appointment of Sharina Zayed to the Community Police Commission. Resolution 207, 2025, by Councilmember Starr, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C1 liquor permit to 7900 Kinsman Road.
Thank you. First reading, emergency resolutions to be adopted.
That's what I just
Oh, okay. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Polensek, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 14 yeas.
Call the roll on adoption. Councilman Polensek and Councilman Casey. Could you identify the resolutions for Councilman Polensek? I believe a couple of council members. While Councilman Polensek is locating them, Councilman Brian Casey.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, please mark me a no on 191, 2025 and 199, 2025.
Duly noted. Councilman Polensek.
Mark me a no on 191, 25, and 199, 25.
Duly noted.
So noted.
Madam Clerk, call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. On Resolution 191, 2025, 12 yeas, 2 nays. On Resolution 199, 2025, 12 yeas, 2 nays. On all other resolutions, 14 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 1116, 2021, by Council Members B. Jones, Brancatelli, Kelly, House Jones, Hairston, and Griffin, authorizing the mayor and the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to acquire the Martin Luther King Jr. High School and property located at 1651 East 71st Street for future redevelopment for the Department of Community Development to convey the property to Structures Unlimited LLC or their designee, and to enter into an agreement between the city and the redeveloper. Ordinance 1321, 2024, as amended by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Office of Sustainability to enter into an agreement with Johns Hopkins University for the placement of 3 in-kind support staff members and funding to design, develop, and implement solutions to address climate change and climate inequality for a period of 3 years. Ordinance 42, 2025, by Council Members McCormack, Conwell, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Health to transfer property located at 4242 Lorraine Avenue to the control, possession, and use of the Department of Community Development or Economic Development, authorizing the sale or lease of the property to Penrose Holdings or its designee for future redevelopment, and authorizing the Directors of Public Health, Community Development, and Economic Development and Penrose Holdings to enter into a development agreement relating to this ordinance. Ordinance 45-2025 as amended by Council Members Bishop, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request to supplement Ordinance 746-2024 relating to the Bedrock .41 TIF district by adding 3 new whereas clauses and sections 9A, B, C, D, E, and F to repeal Section 9 and to amend Section 10 relating to authorizing the Director of Economic Development to enter into a tax increment financing agreement and the Director of Capital Projects to enter into one or more construction management agreements with Cleveland LD LLC to various public improvements, and authorizing other agreements and documents. Ordinance 95-2025 by Council Members McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Mayor and the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to acquire and reconvey properties presently owned by TDG Franklin North, LLC, and/or its designee, located at 3210 Franklin Boulevard, for the purpose of entering into the chain of title prior to the adoption of tax increment financing legislation authorized under Section 5709.41 of the Revised Code for the Franklin Yards North project. Ordinance 96-2025 by Council Members McCormack, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Mayor and the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to acquire and reconvey property presently owned by TDG Franklin Realty, LLC, and/or its designee, located at 3105 Franklin Boulevard, for the purpose of entering into the chain of title prior to the adoption of tax increment financing legislation authorized under Section 5709.41 of the Revised Code for the Franklin Yards South project. Ordinance 105-2025 by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to exercise the second option to renew a lease agreement with Prime Flight Aviation Services for the lease of office space at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport to support wheelchair operations, ground handling, and maintenance services. Ordinance 106-2025 by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to exercise a second option to renew a contract with Recess Creative to provide marketing, promotional, public relations, and advertising services, including materials, equipment, and supplies necessary to promote Cleveland Hopkins International Airport and Burke Lakefront Airport for the Department of Port Control. Ordinance 107-2025 by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into a triple net lease agreement with Prime Flight Aviation Services to lease certain space located at Building 208 at 5851 Cargo Road at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport for office and storage space to support aviation ground handling operations and ground service equipment maintenance for various airlines at the airport for a term of 1 year with 4 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Port Control. Ordinance 112-2025 by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to enter into an amendment to LS 2024-0021 with Aircraft Service International, DBA Menzies Aviation, to add a provision for the location and repair of disabled vehicles. Ordinance 121, 2025, by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, to amend the title in Sections 1, 4, and 5 of Ordinance 1365, 2023, and to supplement the ordinance by adding new Section 4A relating to fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 Airport Capital Improvement Plan.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Polensek, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading emergency ordinances to be passed. None?
Nope.
All right, we'll move towards introductions. Do we have any introductions? Any introductions? Any introductions? Councilman Kevin Conwell.
My buddy Mo here. Stand up, man.
Reese Marbury.
Another activist in the community. This brother is always working in the community when I walk. Let's give it up for him. Right next to the great Fred Ward and his people, man, they go downstate to Columbus to battle against collateral sanctions and to help people out and make things better in the city, matter of fact, as well as in the state. So I want to practically give it up to you guys. Vicky Ward, I said Vicky Ward. Vicky Trotter is in behind you, got the hat on. My fellow Sagittarius buddy from Ward 9. It's good to see you here. Vicky Trotter, thank you and very, very much, and God bless.
Are there any other introductions? Any other introductions? Seeing no other introductions, announcements, I'll start out. We do have a budget retreat that will be this upcoming Friday. Many of you already have gotten your budget books. Once again, I'm instructing all of the chairs that requests need to come through you. We are not going to debate every line item with 17 different people. So please work through your chair committees if there are major adjustments we make, and then please come to the budget retreat. The director, Mr. Barrett, and myself and Mr. Titrim met today. So we believe that we have some very informative, some good information for you to move forward, okay? Any other announcements? Any other announcements? All right, we'll move towards miscellaneous, and I will start off by acknowledging Councilman Joseph Jones. He has asked for extra time. Mr. Jones, you have the floor. Councilman Conwell, if you're not speaking, could you let your mic down, or did you need it up? Okay, let me know when you're ready, because I know you got comments. Councilman Jones, you have the floor, and Councilman Jones has asked for extra time.
Good evening, Council President Blaine Griffin and Mayor Justin Bibb. I'm deeply saddened by the violence that continues to strike our neighborhoods and inflict our young people. And it just reminded me of a speech that Martin Luther King, in giving to young people in a school, and he asked the question, what is your life's blueprint? And he went on to say, if you're going to have a blueprint in life, some of the things that you should have in it. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Somehow you must be able to say in your own lives and really believe it, I am black but beautiful. And I believe that, and you must believe that in your own heart. Number two, the determination to achieve excellence. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as the basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be, and once you discover what it will be, set out to do it, and do it well. But I urge you in spite of your economic plight, in spite of your situation, that you are forced to live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Set out to do it a good job, and do that job so well that living and the dead and the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls to your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Leonard Prince sings before the Metropolitan Opera, and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry, sweep streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a shrub in the valley, but be the best little shrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, then be a star. For it isn't by the size that you win or you fail, but be the best whatever you are. I believe that we could be much better in improving safety in the city of Cleveland. And I am disturbed about how we are policing our community. I'm requesting more of police presence in my neighborhood to deter the violent offenders from terrorizing our community. I understand we have limited resources, but we must collaborate and find resources to make our community safe. In addition to police presence, we must also engage the community in making our neighborhood safe. Community involvement is the heart of an effective crime prevention program. And when residents actively participate in safeguarding their own neighborhoods, they contribute to a sense of ownership and responsibility. This collaborative approach fosters trust between the community and law enforcement, leading to more effective crime prevention efforts. We must establish neighborhood watch programs like we had in days of old, well-known community crime prevention initiatives. These programs would encourage residents to collaborate with each other and local law enforcement to monitor and support suspicious activities. By maintaining open lines of communications, residents can quickly alert authorities to potential threats, helping to deter criminal activity and respond promptly to incidents. We must establish policing strategy that emphasizing building strong relationships between police officers and community members. This approach involves officers engaging with the residents, attending meetings, and addressing local concerns. By fostering positive interactions, community policing helps to build trust, improve cooperation, and create a safer environment for everyone. As councilman for Ward 1, I've directed my staff to begin the research for resources with the state and federal government to assist us with the funding. I've directed today to connect with Congresswoman Brown's office to assist us with this safety initiative that we are so concerned about in our neighborhood. Bottom line, Mr. President and Mr. Mayor, the crime problem in our communities is horrible. But if we work together, we can develop the blueprint and the strategies of solution to make our community safe. And when we look at our issues, we know that we have a lot of issues that contribute to these problems. And no one administration and no one council can resolve all the issues, but we can work together to start putting all of our resources and looking at an effective strategy to deal with these problems that are impacting our communities. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. I have Councilman Kevin Conwell. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
Thank you very much. And I heard my colleagues also about these smoke shops, and I heard you, Councilmember Brian Casey. I'll be in your ward dealing with that. And as soon as the budget hearings are over with, we will move in that direction to deal with these smoke shops. I want to switch gears I want to thank you also, Mr. Mayor. I read your comments about this 10-year-old boy. And, you know, you got to look at it as if he was all of our sons, because that's very, very important that we keep our arms and hands around the community. That saddened me a great deal about that 10-year-old boy. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, and it's not good. Switching gears, I read your piece here, Mr. President and Madam Clerk. Councilmember policy packet, this is good. This is good. And I agree with it 100%. And I've been thinking about policies, and I'm glad that you moved to the technical side of things also. And something that really, really hurt me being a senior member in this body, and I put together a statement that I want to read. You know, you and I are the senior members here. Well, you got me about 25 years, man. You know, you got me about 25. Okay, but here's the thing. To my fellow members, Cleveland City Council and Council President Blaine Griffin, I would like to take an opportunity to speak on the record in regards to the recent headline news made by members of this council. As a husband, as well as a father and grandfather of females, accusations of harassment against women in any form touches me in a personal way. It stokes my emotions and bothers my psyche, as I am always compelled to act in a manner representative of my parents, my wife, children, and grandchildren, in addition to someone who has been bestowed the esteemed title in Washington, D.C. as the National Father of the Year. I always teach man that the best thing that a father can do for his children is to respect his children's mother. In regards to the accusations of harassment against my fellow council member, I have never witnessed these accusations nor were made aware of them at the time they occurred. I did not understand this to be part of our workplace culture. As a 23-year senior leader within a body, had I known, I would have stepped in. Now, once the news broke, I consciously refrained from speaking out because I sought to better understand what took place and how we as a body can correct it. That's why I like this organizational behavior that you guys put out, okay? Corrective action, it must be important at this time. I applaud you, Council President Blaine Griffin, for getting out in front of this matter upon learning of it, calling for a special investigation and bringing a consultant on board to deal with professionalism. Council President is always working to employ systems and rules that will better govern our body to ensure this never happens again, as well as protect our staff. Customers must be here as well, and vendors. I will work side by side with the Council President and City Council to make sure this gets done, because having systems in place, such as ongoing reviews, which is not in here, as well as exit interviews when people leave, so we can seek to understand what they're talking about, and then that way we can plan and we can look at trends, is very important. By having exit interviews will make our workplace environment better and make our female staff feel safer and more protected. As South African Bishop Desmond Tutu, known for his work as an anti-apartheid and human rights activist, once said, "It is by standing up for the rights of girls and women that we truly measure up as men." In closing, I want it to be known that I personally feel for the women who were hurt. I understand that women need to know someone has their back. To the women, I have your back. I support you 100%. Yours truly, Councilmember Kevin Conwell. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Anthony Hairston. Councilman Anthony Hairston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Folks probably saw this mic and said, oh, Lord, here we go. All right, I won't get into debate tonight. I'm going to leave I started to say some other comments, but I'll leave it alone tonight. Just really quickly, and maybe I should have said this during announcements or introductions, we tonight passed an ordinance that added one of Ward 10's finest residents to the CPC, and that is Sheila Mason. I don't know if Ms. Mason is here tonight with us in the room, but what I can tell you about Ms. Mason is that she is a stand-up person. She has one of the greatest temperaments that you have ever seen, right? And I believe truly that she will be a good addition to the CPC. She is going to represent all of us well. She is respected in our community, and I look forward to working with her in her new role here. She served as most recently as the chief of Woodmere Village Police, and her residents around her where she lives, I'm not going to say where she lives, but they really like her a tremendous amount. And so just happy for Sheila Mason in her new role here on the CPC, and looking forward to working with her. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harrison. Thank you, Councilman Harrison. Appreciate it. I think that is all the comments. Councilman Michael Polisic. Councilman Michael Polisic.
Mr. Chairman, I want to be brief. I want to thank all my colleagues, both on the Safety Committee, Honorable Mayor, Mr. President, Madam Clerk, and all my colleagues. I want to thank all the members of the Safety Committee and the Mayor's Appointment Committee who spent a great deal of time, first on the January 29th, and then again today, scanning and screening the Mayor's suggestions for the CPC. I have to tell you, as I said on the 29th, I'm extremely disappointed what I have seen and what I've witnessed from the CPC. All of us are. And as I indicated, and I've repeated it many times, the day after the election for issue 24, I spoke with the council president, and our discussion was lengthy and in depth about whether any of us supported it or not. It passed, and we're going to try to do our best to make it work. That's been the position of the council. But I got to tell you, Mr. Mayor, I've been so disappointed with the people who've sat on that commission. It's an embarrassment. When we have to have police there to keep members from going at one another, tells us a whole lot. And this is the group that's supposed to oversee the division of police. So I'm hoping that the people you appointed this time, that we scanned on the 29th and we scanned today, I hope are reasonable, sane individuals who can disagree but be agreeable, who can work together to make our city and make the CPC the best it can be. Because if not, all it does is create more animosity, more division, and it creates an additional roadblock for us to attract men and women to join the division of police. So I'm hoping that today is a new beginning. I'm not happy, and my vote reflected it, upon their drone policy, but at the end of the day, I'm prepared to give them a shot. I'm prepared to give them a chance, and I hope you give them the marching orders that they got to work together and do what is right for this city, our citizens, and the division of police. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman Hairston has yielded a couple more minutes, so he wants to reclaim the minutes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I would be remiss there was a gentleman who sat before us today as the proposed Black Shield representative, Mr. Jackson, who is behind us here. He's in the back room with us here today. And when I tell you I was blown away by his answers to the questions that the committee proposed to him, just his knowledge, just his willingness to work alongside of everyone and not just a few people, his willingness to step aside from his 30-year career to go out and campaign and be a part of Issue 24. You couldn't ask for a better person to serve on this committee. And so I hope that this body and this administration works this out and makes sure Mr. Jackson is on this committee. I implore this council, this administration, to find a way to make sure this brother is on this commission, because I believe truly, wholeheartedly, that he will be a tremendous asset to all of us. And so, Mr. President, I wanted to make sure I said that. Thank you.
Thank you. So first and foremost, Please bring order if we could. Please bring order. First and foremost, if we could, I want to commend Councilman Mike Polensek and Councilman Chris Harsh for stepping in and leading what we believe has been a fair vetting process regarding the CPC appointments. We made it clear that council was going to do our due diligence, to Councilman Polensek's point, to make sure that we had very good candidates that we put on this police commission so that the work can move forward. There were 2 people who council has not moved forward as of this time. We actually started out with 3 appointments that we were going to hold up because there were questions about it. Mr. Thomas has provided a legal opinion which alleviated the concerns of one of the members, which is why we moved that member forward. However, there are still 2 more slots that we have to consider. I am strongly urging the members of Black Shield, and if he could please stand, Mr. Jackson, to convene sometime. I'll be willing to be there myself with Mr. Thomas as well as the safety director so that we could get some clarity on how we need to move forward. There were some red flags with 2 of the members that we decided not to move forward on until we get clarification, but we do strongly believe that Black Shield should have a seat at that table for the police commission. So, no disrespect to anybody. I just would like for the leaders that I just mentioned to have a conversation on how we can best move forward. All we want, as Councilman Polensek just said, is a productive unit of people who will take this job serious and who will work close with council, as we are ultimately responsible for the delegation of financial commitments as well as policy and drawing up laws for the city of Cleveland. So I want to make sure that we can get that clarified, because we won't be meeting next Monday, so we have a few days in order to try to work this out. But I would strongly recommend that Mr. Jackson, Mr. Thomas, as well as Director Drummond have a conversation. Once again, I'm willing to be a part, if you guys need me to be a part of it, to determine how we move forward on these last 2 seats. But we do, as council, believe strongly that the Black Shield Association needs to have a seat at that table, and we only have 1 more seat for law enforcement to be at that table. So please keep that in mind, and let's work together to have a great commission. And I want to commend Mr. Thomas for a great job and working closely with us the last couple of weeks to try to figure this out, okay? That being said, Madam Clerk, please excuse the absences.
By Councilmember Polensek, that the absence of Council members Santana and Spencer are hereby excused, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Thank you. Council is adjourned to the call of the chair. The next meeting of council will be on Monday, February the 24th, 2025.